Okay, so I figured I'd do an actual proper video, more instead of so scatterbrained. I figured I'd do an actual devoted to setting up the campaign that I'm going to be doing. Now, let's just start with this. I'm not going to put any limitations on what Digimon you choose to play as, whether it's no matter as long as it's not a champion, an ultimate, or a mega. I'm just as long as it's a rookie or below, I'm gonna let you just start right off the bat with that. Now, I want to make something very clear here. When it comes down to how am I going to integrate, say, weaponry into it, well, that specifically is going to be run in this manner where weapons that, when you have no arms, are going to be stuff like in the shape of some kind of a horn or an accessory or something like that. It'll be basically treated as something that's attached to your body somewhere. For example, let's say you're dual wielding, for example. Let's say you're dual wielding, and let's say you're dual wielding two maces. For whatever reason have you. Well, then what we would probably, how we'd swing that is that somewhere on your body there are two kind of like in an ankylosaurus basically, where there's a clubbed bit somewhere on your body, and or we can swing it as just you're punching them with what looks like knuckles of some kind, or I guess in this case it would be brass footies, and we'll talk about it, and we'll come up with something together to make it sensible, but also less silly if you don't want it to be. Now, a lot of it is just kind of going to be hand waved away, and it's just how we'll do it just to make it an easy setup. Now, on top of that, we're going to do a couple other things, but I'm going to just tell you right now, ahead of time, I lost the original PDF file, so you are going to have to see some ads on top of me losing my own altered PDF file. On top of that, suddenly, I can't find the original file to save my frickin' life. So we are pulling up a certain list on a site. They love their frickin' ads. So we're just going to have to suffer through it, even if it is annoying as all hell. And dear God, is it annoying already. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the cuff, if you don't want to do any kind of the pre-existing Digimon, you want to pull a Takato and just from scratch make your own Digimon, I'm going to completely allow that. But it does come with a cost. In fact, it comes with costs with a plural S at the end. Okay? One, you will, much like Takato, have to spare no detail. That means you will be telling me every teeny tiny microscopic detail on the sucker. Everything from his toe paint down to the tip of his ears, if it even has ears. You will be telling me every tiny detail. Now, does that mean you won't get to have it? Hell no. You'll still get to have it. It's just I need to know all the damn details. Now, I can't promise to find an artist, and I'm going to tell you right now, right here now, I am not an artist. I am nowhere near an artist. If you know an artist and you know for a fact that they would love to do some drawings or stuff like that, by all means, bruh, go for it. Ask them if they want to do some drawings. Tell them to reach out to me, and I will almost guaranteeably say, hell yeah, when would you like to start? We can have you right now. Do they have to be someone who's a friend of myself necessarily? No. No, they do not. All that matters is that there's someone who has artistic ability of some kind, shape, or form, wants to do it, and understands that because we'll be uploading on YouTube, their art is going to get seen. Now, granted, I will shout them out every step of the way, every chance that I can as well on top of that. I am a small channel, so that probably won't mean much to them, although I am pretty stoked and proud as all hell that I am somehow at 30 subscribers. I don't know how that happened. I don't know who sold someone's soul, but here you are now, and I thank you for it. Yee. Sorry, dark moment. Anyways, when it comes down to it, genuinely speaking, these videos are going to get uploaded onto my channel. Whether or not they get uploaded anywhere else, whether they do that well, neither of those are really even remotely the point. Most of the point is mostly just for myself, because I'm forgetful. So having these things in the form of videos helps me going forwards because I'll be able to watch them back to kind of remind myself what's happened so far and where we're at. Think of it like it's documentation to help the fool. If these videos wind up getting some views, I will be happy, shocked, stoked, dumbfounded, and then happy all over again for probably the next. I don't even want to know. It'll be a long time to bring me back down. Now, I warned you that you can make your own Digimon just from scratch, and I've warned you can just run with the pre-existing Digimon if you want to. Well, what about evolutions? Well, ironically enough, Digivolutions, if you started to worry about, oh, but don't worry, don't you worry, I got lists. I got a listing already ready for you. Holla, 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 holla. Boom, baby. Sorry. Boom, baby. Now, I'm going to just tell you right now when it comes down to Digivolutions, there are some small rules here and there. Not anywhere near as bad as you're probably thinking. And let me just tell you right now, this list is more daunting than it looks. Now, there are certain Digivolutions unless the players choose them, I'm not F'ing with them myself. But if the players say, hey, I want to do this, more often than not, I'm going to tell you you can. I'm going to have you roll sometimes for it if you get bonkers. But more often than not, I'm pretty flexible. A lot of DMs are about this whole, versus mentality. I am not. It just it doesn't jive with me. I don't dig that vibe. That vibe kind of just annoys me. All right. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now. There are certain Digivolutions. For example, let me just highlight this one. For example, right here, Warp Digivolutions. These Digivolutions, Digivolutions like these where they are jumping to a specific point or to specifically Mega level Digimon, those you'll have to get to a certain level to have. They'll be there if you want them. The thing is I'm going to put some limitations here and there. That doesn't mean your idea has been canceled by any shape, stretch, or form. It just means you have to wait till you're the appropriate level to access that thing we've set up. Okay? And I'll often make sure that you are talked to and informed of what level you have to get to access these things. Okay? Now, I'm just going to warn you, there are some here, like, for example, this one, where we're going to have a long talk. The reason why is because dark Digivolutions typically only occur during certain moments. For example, to use the show, to use specifically Digimon Adventure 01 as an example, I could use others very easily, but we'll go with that. We'll just go with one for now. For example, when Tai wound up Digivolving, having Agumon Digivolve into Skull Greymon instead of Metal Greymon, was because Tai was becoming consumed by fear to the point of where not only was he becoming the opposite of his crest, but he was also becoming more of an endangerment to his whole team. Because of the severity of the situation, this anxiety, this pure abject terror that he was going through, but also was refusing to lean on the others at all for. He started twisting, becoming a monster himself as the whole thing went down. As he began to apply more pressure on himself of, we're the only ones who can do this. We are the only ones. We have to do this. Even if his intent was, I wouldn't say noble, but was something understandable. The fear of losing what one cherishes most. you can become consumed, and that's kind of how dark digivolutions work. It's becoming consumed either by evil or by a dark tendency or nature within oneself, warping and twisting oneself to become completely opposite of who they actually are. So if you decide you want to do a dark digivolution, or you want dark digivolutions to be how you digivolve, we have to have a long talk about what's being a trigger. How is it corrupting you? How is that corruption being showcased? And how is it being expressed? Basically, it's about becoming so corrupted that you're twisted. In what way is that showing? Are you able to come back from it? Do you even want to come back from it? Do you want to instead lean into that dark twistedness more and more, further losing yourself into that darkness? You can see why it's a long talk. I feel like that showcase is a very long talk. Now, I'm for stuff like virus digivolution and shining digivolution. In this case, I'm not against these, but I am going to tell you right now, we do have to have a long talk again. Especially when it comes to stuff like virus. You gotta remember, virus is basically an outside force, kidnaps your Digimon, and has, in a sense, forced a virus or parasite into it that has turned it into something else. Yeah. So if you do want to go down this line, we have to talk, how do you get kidnapped? When did you get kidnapped? So on and so on and so on. We have to go into so many details. We also even have to go into other details such as, did this virus get injected into your Digimon, or was this virus an outside force that latched onto you and then went to your Digimon? We would have to go into all of that. That's not a short topic. I'm just going to tell you right now, neither of those two are literally the first four options it shows are not the only ones, but these are the top four longest topic freaking Digivolutions. Ain't that a cruel irony? Next up is DNA Digivolution. Now, this one we still have to go into a long talk, but with a key difference. Now we have to talk, instead of 1-to-1, we have to talk 2-to-1. Because DNA Digivolution is all about the combining of two Digimon. There is a list below that, hold on, let me remove the blue writing. Maybe that'll make this a little easier. There is some examples. Biodramon, Sylphiamon, Shaco, Omni, Black Omni. You get it. Okay, these are all freaking Digimon. Okay, that, fused together, and that's how they got what they are. Now, here's the thing. When it comes down to this, DNA Digivolution is something we'd have to talk about. Because we have to decide on when this happens. Can you digivolve after you've fused? How many times? And multiple other topics that are all a pain in the ass. So yeah. When it comes down to it, we do have to have that topic because it's an important one. You gotta remember, is one of the reasons why Sylphiamon, Shakomon kind of just sucked ass compared to Pyodramon is because Pyodramon didn't stop at Pyodramon. He kept digivolved. He digivolved again, and then had a form change. He had all this other stuff after that. The reason why Sylphiamon and Shakomon in this show pretty much suck and are worthless is because of that fact that they stayed at this fusion. They stayed at, for example, what you see on screen right now is Sylphiamon. The reason why Sylphiamon pretty much sucked dick is because of the simple fact that she was stuck at Ultimate and didn't get a mega level. She didn't get form changes of any kind. This was it. Stayed at Ultimate. Now, arguably, an Ultimate's overall output is heavily decided both on the Digimon fused and also on the facts of what is their setup. Arguably, Shakumon's not as weak as he seems when you actually acknowledge what he's set up to do. You gotta remember is that Shakumon is not an actual fighter. Shakumon's actually a tank. Shakumon's about I take physical and magical attacks like a freak. You gotta remember is that Andromon typically is a very high magical defense, no matter unless you play Digimon World 3. Andromon's typically all about magical defense, taking magical attacks and keeping in the fight. While Ankylamon is all about physical defense and staying in the fight. So take two tanks, merge them, you just get a bigger tank. And that's exactly what Shakomon is. Granted, he's, again, kind of gimped compared to Pyodramon because he's stuck at Ultimate. Which is why we would have to talk of, if you do a Digimon DNA fusion, who are you fusing with? Do you have it happening when it's two Ultimates or two Champions? If it's going to be two Champions, that means you're going to be stuck at Ultimate. Once you're at that stage, are you planning to Digivolve again? If so, how? See the point? Now, I don't know if the okay. There are I don't know. I haven't looked at this list. Let me just I should spell it out. I might have to add some Digivolutions because I know that there is one Digivolution that's not very commonplace. It's not because of its overall theme being dark AF and it being, let's be honest here, a little tricksy to pull off, but we can work with it. Okay. But anyways, now there's Armor Digivolution. Now, when it comes down to Armor Digivolution, this is typically done through a crest of some kind being embedded into like a piece of armor or something. A little egg. A little armored digi-egg. And they'll have a little crest on it. For example, digi-egg of courage, friendship, hope, light, knowledge. You get the point. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to add some crests. I'm going to add some darker crests. Ones that have a bit more of a darker meaning to them. Okay? And you're allowed to choose those. Just so you're aware of that. There's going to be some extra crests in my Digimon D&D. And on top of that, in my Digimon D&D, you are completely allowed to choose them. Okay? Now, I'm just going to tell you right now, when it comes to Digi-Eggs, much of it's going to be kind of following in the sensible patterns. Digi-Egg of Courage, Fire. Friendship, Storm, or Ice, depending on situation. Hope, Flying. Light, Angelic, or just light in a generalized sense. Knowledge, I'm not going to limit to drills. I am going to say bug or machinery. Reliability, the sea. Duh. Yeah, the seas. Water. Love, bird, yes. Wings, eh. I'm not going to limit you to wings. I feel like that would be boring. If you want to have a jet, if you want to have freaking the equivalency of mechanical jet wings, okay, fine. You want to have bone wings? Sure. I'm not going to limit you to wings. Just bird is going to be kind of the direction you go in. Okay? Just so that's there. Sincerity. Plant-like. Yes. Samurai? Not necessary. Basically, what I'm doing is I am kind of more simplifying the direction these armor Digivolutions go to further allow you to decide how you want your Digimon to look with more ease. That's basically the way to put it. Is think of courage as just fire in a generalized sense, or dinosaur-like. While friendship, I'm kind of leaning towards the more bestial, more bears and dogs and stuff like that. I'm going more bestial or more storm, air kind of vibes. Isn't quite right. More beast and lightning seems more appropriate, especially bestial in nature. Now, There are golden armors as well. We'll get to bioarmors later. There is golden armors. Now, there's only two that I know of. Miracles and Destiny. Now, granted, I'm going to expand on these. I'm going to add two of my own. Okay? To them. You are completely allowed to choose them. But I'm going to warn you now. Normally, how this works is golden armor, and it's kind of vague from there. It really is. Granted, to be fair, we've only had so few moments of golden armor digivolving in generalized sense, despite the fact that Magnemon, last time I checked, was a Royal Knight. Or was it a different Vmon form? I'll have to double check that myself. But I'm pretty sure Magnemon is. But then again, I think Vmon is two of them, if I remember right. Then again, I've never liked the Golden Knights story arc as a whole because it's been beat into the dirt, so it's hard to care anymore. The sad reality of overuse. Now, when it comes down to it, Golden Armor Digivolutions, I'm not really going to put much rule other than Golden Armor. I don't really care if you're bipedal, quadrupedal, no pedal, I don't care. Okay, you can have no legs and a tutu for all that I give of an F. This is more about how do you want it to manifest more than how I think it should be manifested. Where's the fun in that? Now, let's talk Biomerge. I'm going to tell you right now, Biomerge, this one we don't have to do anywhere near as long of a talk as we do with DNA. But I'm just going to tell you right now, biomerging is, I wouldn't say off the table, but I will say right now, with where this is at, you wouldn't be able to do so quickly. Because much like warp digivolving, biomerging is one of those things where I would level lock it. I would bordering have to level lock it to a specific point. And considering that this is probably up there for tied for the most powerful up there, yeah, it's going to be high. It's going to be high. I do apologize for that ahead of time, but that's how that would be. It would be level locked pretty late. Now, that doesn't mean don't do it if you don't want to. If you want to do it, do it. Just understand, this is a very busted form. Because it is taking the human and the Digimon and merging them into an identity that is legitimately inseparable. And there's a reason why Gallantmon is a Royal Knight. And is one of the few Royal Knights who people actually easily remember often. It's because he is damn near synonymous with the names, with the very identity of Royal Knight, with the strength of Royal Knight, okay? There's a reason. He's pretty freaking powerful before you even count the fact he has another even stronger form later. And he's already pretty damn OP. Okay? Now, don't get me wrong, there are other combinations that are, yes, pretty strong. For example, Henry with his partner Terriermon, Rico with her partner Renamon, Rio partnered with his partner freaking Cybergemon. These are pretty powerful, but only one of them is a Royal Knight, motherfucker. Only one of them is a Royal Knight. And there's a reason. Like, yikes. Now, Spirit Delusions, man. This one is a long talk. It's still doable, just like everything else. It's totally doable. But this one is a long talk. Because you gotta remember is that these were humans who turned into Digimon via the power of spirits. For example, I'm forgetting the Takuya. There we go. Takuya, for example, bonded with, or I guess the better way to phrase it is the human spirit of fire. So therefore, he can basically Digivolve himself into a Digimon by the name of a Agunimon. Have I Do I need to continue? do, do I need to continue on why this is technically fine, but is a long talk? This is a long conversation. I almost want to say that if it wasn't for one specific evolution, this would be the number one longest freaking talk we will have to have Digivolution wise. If it wasn't for a different one that exists, this would be the longest. Is that sad? I feel like that might be sad. I feel like that's almost sad. The thing is we would have to not only talk about what element, we'd also have to talk what is your human version, what is your beast version, what is your. Then we have. I can't even separate these. I can't separate these if I wanted to. I have to damn near lump them in because there's no other way. Okay? There's just no other way. Okay? If we are doing these freaking spirit, we have to go into fusions and unified. That's not optional. Those things are so disgustingly linked together. And mind you, it even skips one for some reason. I don't know why, but we have to talk about the ancient version too. Oh dear God. Yeah. 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 So yeah, basically when it comes down to this, we would have to go over the human, the beast version, the ancient version, the fusion, the unified, and we'd have to talk about each one of them. We'd have to talk about implications, how you're wanting them to show up. We're gonna have to talk about how they look, how they perform, how we have to talk probably for days. Probably for days. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you want to do it, all right, we'll do it. But just realize we have to talk so much. And you also have to be made aware that there is going to be still some degree of level locked offness. That's just going to happen with everybody to some varying degree of some kind. It's unavoidable. Okay? Now, here we go. When it comes down to it, there is one other thing I do have to, because I don't think it's here. Yeah, no, it's not here. All right, so we'll just close that, uh, and then we'll expand the me. Hold on, here. Uh, Now there is one other Digivolution that's not on there that I am also going to allow. But I am going to warn you, it is the one that has the longest conversation bound. It is the one that has the most details, not just needed, but demanded. It is the one that is the most complicating. It is the one where we have to talk long about death digivolutions. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, if you decide to go down, you want to go down this route, I will not stop you. But I am going to warn you there will be story ramifications. There will be whatever backstory you had set up, possible ramifications. There will be ramifications within the game. There will be ramifications in many ways. Now, when I say ramifications, I don't just mean stuff that's negative. I mean, stuff has to get explained, stuff has to get tweaked, stuff has to get altered, stuff has to be made clear. And there's also going to be some negative stuff. Now, the negative stuff, whether you decide that they are truly negative or you decide to put a positive twist on them, I leave that to you. But death digivolutions are achieved upon death. I think you see the complication, I hope to God. I hope I don't have to actually explain what the complications are with you becoming basically a zombie. Now, the complication with this is that I'm going to treat it kind of a little bit like being a Harrowed in Deadlands. I'm going to treat it a little bit like that, where now all of a sudden, when your rolls go bad, things can go really bad. When you start to lose what I'm going to classify as, I'm going to call it soul grounding, just to give it a placeholder name for now. Hopefully, I'll come up with something a little bit better by the time of the campaign. If I don't, it'll just be called soul grounding. But basically, because you would be choosing to become basically an undead Digimon, whatever stuff you liked to do in life, well, I'm going to try and twist that on you and now say that that's going to be the thing that keeps you grounded. That's what keeps you you. Now, how you utilize this is going to be largely up to you. Whether or not you do it for the entirety of the game, or if it's something you only do at a certain point, I'll also leave largely up to yourself to decide. But the thing is on top of the usual describing me, what are you digivolving to? What does it look like? How does it function? What way does it operate? Now there's also the fact of you have to tell me in detail of what's keeping your soul ground to your dead form. What is keeping you you? See the rub? And like I said, because I'm going to be treating it a little bit like Harrowed, if you were setting up to be someone who's really charming, good luck, because it's going to get a hard decrease no matter what you do, I'm afraid. And I'm probably going to set some other stuff behind the scenes, some other things should you decide to push it way too far. I'm going to set up some stuff that can happen. But let me just tell you right now, it's going to be something. I hope players don't pick that one, but I'm also in no way, shape, or form am I going to tell my players not to. If they want to go death evolutions, go for it. But you will have to tell me how this is going to be going down. The way it works, we're going to have a long talk. Now, I'm also going to make this very clear here. If you are someone who wants to try and mix and match evolutions, it will all depend on what you try to mix. Okay, I'm not going to. If you decide to go biomerge, I'm not going to let you do DNA fusion on top of that. I'm sorry, just no. Because one, it makes no damn sense, no matter what you do. Sure, it would make sense for the Digimon, not the human. How many humans do you know that literally just high five and then merge into a singular being? Because I know none. I feel like that'd be really weird, too. Even for me, that would be pushing it. Like, normally, any weird thing you want to get away with, more often than not, it's going to get decided by a roll. More often than not. Now, there are some things I just won't allow. Doing both a biomerge and DNA fusion, no. One or the other. But if you wanted to do something, say like you wanted to armor digivolve and then continue to digivolve, that's doable. That I can foresee. That I can work with. That I dig. I like that idea. Now, spirit digivolving mixed with death digivolving is not off the table, but you will have to roll for it. It's an absurd enough concept that you would have to roll for it, but it's nowhere near absurd enough for me to even feel like saying no is even worth an F or even worth considering at all. You gotta remember is I'm down for weird, but you gotta remember is that there's a limit. When it's something as absurd as biomerge, then DNA digivolve into something else that's even stronger, no. I know about Super Ultimates, yes, 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 but no, just no. Now, something like, for example, Death Digivolving, and then continuing to Digivolve after that, or continuing to Death Digivolve after that. Yes, totally workable. Totally workable, totally viable. All thumbs up. This Virus Digivolving and then Shining Digivolving, no. Not without a roll. That one you would have, like, you would have to roll that one with me. Like, yeah, just no. I'm not against you making up new moves for these Digimon and having those. My only request is that you try to, even if very superficially, try and link them to the pre-existing D&D moves that you're going to have based off of your class is all that I ask. Now, does that mean you're not going to be able to do, say, for example, fire-based move with a fighter? No. No, that's fine. We'll still use elements as an existing thing. It's just that we're going to be utilizing that and another system at the same time. Now, for example, you can now granted I will have to give the credit where credit's due. I do have to kind of give a thanks to the binge watching of Pokemon D&D from Lost Pause that I've been doing because that gave me honestly a blessing. It actually saved my ass. I was struggling so hard to get this thing made because I was overcomplicating it to a violent extreme. Like, damn, it's taking me a year just to get to now. A year. A whole year to get to where I am now. Yikes. But I will say this is I'm finally gonna be able to do this. Now I'm not gonna be able to do a campaign just quite yet. I'm gonna be out of town pretty much from Thanksgiving onwards. I'm gonna be gone. I'm gonna be MIA. So because of that simple fact, I won't really be able to get up any kind of real video here. What I will be able to do is kind of get a video out sometime later. I am going to take a little time before I get to that poll because, like I said, I'm going to just kind of going to be gone. So once I do get this poll out, there's not really going to be much of a video. There's going to be the live stream this Thursday, maybe a stream with Smab. I'm not sure. I don't know. Depends on how Smab doing. And then I'm going to be gone for like 2 weeks. Sorry. To get a video next Tuesday, I think, as well. But yeah, pretty much from next Thursday, or yeah, next Thursday onwards for an entire 2 weeks, I'm going to be MIA. Sorry. Spending time with family, holidays. It is what it is. um, Now, I do also want to kind of go over a little couple other things. There is going to be some in-world stuff. If you need me explaining them, I have no problem explaining them when you need me to explain them, okay? But I am going to tell you right now, there is one other thing I haven't talked about yet because it's a dicey topic. So, I don't want you to utilize this to affect how you want to play the game, okay? But I am going to give you this extra info. There is a basically, supposedly, immeasurably, supposedly it's the best metal, but that's not entirely fair point or true even because it has a huge limitation. So there's a material called Feng Long ore. I really wish I pronounced it better. But anyways, Feng Long ore. Now, Fang Long ore and metal are the strongest technically, but there's a catch is that they are oppressively heavy. That even Digimon who have basically incorporated this into their entire bodies over eons slows them to a toxic crawl. This is the kind of material that no even the Digimon who it is actually named for and who has it coating their entire body. It is even too heavy for the very Digimon who has been literally ingesting and completely indulging in the crap for eons to move properly. That's how oppressively heavy it is. So I just want you to know that if you decide you're wanting to kind of, if you're deciding to dig into that info and you want to lean into that, I'm just going to tell you right now, you're going to be oppressively heavy. We're going to have a long talk of how you manage to get this ore, not only find it to damn well begin with, because that stuff is fucking rare as hell. That's like trying to find 7 million diamond deposits, okay, in the same instant upon the first time you plant your shovel in the ground, okay? It is bordering on impossible to find that stuff because it's so rare. So you will have to tell me how you found it. You will have to tell me how is it you're incorporating it into your body. You're going to have to then explain how it is not just killing you outright from its oppressive weight. You have to describe to me why you're so desperate to do this, because that's the only way you could possibly excuse trying to incorporate this metal into your own body at all, much less to spend the eons it would take just to do so. I think I've hammered my point home on if you decide to try and pull this crap, we're going to have a long talk, mister, or Mrs., or whoever. You and I will be having a long talk. It will not be optional. That shit will be mandatory, alright? Because that stuff is oppressively heavy to the point where it can literally kill just from resting on you. It could turn you into freaking pate, to juice. It's oppressively heavy. Damn, heavy. So you will have to talk to me a lot. And if you decide to digivolve, we're still going to have an oppressively long talk, because when I think about it, and the more I think about it, I don't think you would ingest less of the Fanglan ore the moment you digivolved. It just means you have to feast on more of it. And the shite's already rare enough. Have I hammered my point home yet? Now, I figured probably the best thing to do just before I end the video, I want to give one other thing. One other thing I was not able to and did not give in the last video. I'm going to give you a little bit of world setup. It's not going to be much. In fact, it's barely going to be anything. And for now, it's going to be very vague until, the pilot episode lands. But I am going to tell you this. You, the player, I am addressing to now, I am going to warn you of this. Do not skip. 1, 2, 3. You awaken. At first, it's a normal day, anything like any other. Nothing special, nothing memorable. It's a typical weekend. You're doing whatever it is that is your favorite hobby. You're having fun at first. You feel a little woozy. You don't feel quite sure-footed. And at first you're just thinking it's the exhaust. I've had too much fun. I'm just tired. So you decide maybe it's time I call it a day and go rest somewhere. Whether that's a nearby motel if you're not anywhere near your home, or maybe possibly in your bed. Maybe it's with your lover, your maybe you're with a friend at their place. Whatever the reason be, you go to lay down. Your eyes getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and your vision becoming more and more distorted until eventually sleep claims you. Your rest is fitful, uncomfortable. No matter how many times you feel like you've tossed and you've turned, altered and shifted, no matter what, you just can't really get comfortable. And then there's this sensation that washes over you. You're being watched, observed, and from seemingly out of nowhere, you hear it. Something loud, almost echoing into your very being. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here you are. And if you play your cards wrong, here you'll die. Heed me, puny mortals, for I demand it. I've come to claim. I have come with my demands. You will do as I ask, for it is already written that you will obey. For that is how it shall be. I hope that's a pretty good teaser. I hope that's gotten those who are going to be playing a little excited, a little curious. Maybe. Hope you like the touch. Sometimes I wish I had a better YouTube equipment, but oh well. Make do with what you have. I hope you all manage to, who are going to be players, to kind of get some inspiration, get some ideas pumping in your little noggins. Hope you're a little anticipating, excited, curious, hopeful, who knows. But ultimately, I've hoped those of you who just watched for the sake of watching, laughed at me, laughed with me, found this interesting, intriguing, and maybe got you excited for when the YouTube video, the Digimon and Dragons videos are uploaded. When will this happen? Probably sometime in December, unfortunately. Will it take long to find my players and get them excited? I have no idea, but we will see. But I know for a fact I'm excited and feeling very impatient to get started. I will see you all next time. See ya.